Oh, yeah, so what do we have on the screen here? I need your help. I hear some laughs. So I'm looking for 3 things here from the audience. 3 things that you can tell me about this picture. 3 observations. Too much stuff, I hear. Yes, that's 1. Too much stuff. They're raising the roof because of too much stuff. Yeah. What else? Not organised. Grass. That's what I was looking for. The grass needs mowing. Yeah. So remember, today's topic is right-sizing. So sometimes right-sizing is all about not having to deal with the yard anymore. It's not moving anywhere. It's just like, I need to do something about the yard. Maybe I need to get a gardener. I think they really need a gardener. And what else? Look more carefully at the house. Deferred maintenance on the house. Yeah. So as some of us get older, we were great at maintaining our houses. We bought a new house or a house and we did everything and it looked great. But then over time, what happens to our house? Stuff needs to be done, doesn't it? It needs maintenance and so forth. So it kind of leads into today's topic. And we'll talk more about it. So Annette said, Brent, you really need to share a photo of your office. So this morning before I left the house, I took a quick photo because she thinks I need help. Do I need help? That looks perfectly... I know where everything is. How do I get to my desk? I just kind of climb over things and just push a box out of the way. Does anyone know of anyone that's like that? No. Maybe.
You tend to be live with somebody like that.
So does anyone ever ask themselves this question? Why am I holding on to all this junk? All this stuff? Maybe it's not junk, it's treasures. Why am I holding on to all of these treasures that I have? So we're going to talk about that today. Holding on to stuff that maybe doesn't serve us well anymore. And then if anyone has ever moved, show of hands, has anyone ever made a move?
Yeah, yeah, everybody.
Keep your hand up if you've moved to a bigger house at some point in your life. You went from a smaller house to a bigger house. And was it really easy just to take everything with you? I'll deal with it when I get to the other end. Do you think we could do that if we're going to something smaller? Just take everything with us? No, it probably presents a problem. So there's a great tip here. It is a good idea to purge some of your belongings or donate them before you move. So I'm sure all of us, when we've moved, had good intentions to sort through our things and only take what we really needed. True? Yes? That was our intention. And then moving day came. And the movers are there, and it says, this estimate says just a little bit of packing. Because when we spoke to the movers, we said, yeah, there's only going to be this much. We're going to get rid of all of the rest. The moving day comes, and we still have all of our stuff, don't we? Yeah. And then we step outside to have a look at the moving truck from our movers. And it says, shady movers. We swear we're legitimate. And then on the back door it says, we're not bad guys. Would that make anyone nervous, seeing that? So I'm not going to use them. I'm going to just do it myself. So has anyone taken the do-it-yourself approach? So maybe that was feasible when we're younger, but if we're in our 80s and 90s or hitting 100, we're probably not going to go that path. Has anyone ever had adult children say anything similar to this? Mum and Dad, they probably don't say we don't want to clean out your house. It's what do they say? We don't want your stuff. Yeah. Crap. Okay. Hopefully your children are more gentle in its stuff or belongings. But some children are very honest and to the point, we don't want your crap. Yep. So with that, I would like to introduce our panellists. So Annette, could you introduce yourself and why you might be on the panel today?
Absolutely. My name is Annette Junell, and I've been a real estate agent for the past 20 years. I can't believe it. Time passes by so quickly. Together with Brett, we focus our business on helping people downsize, and quite frankly, that means that the majority of our clients are seniors. And it's a longer process. So we actually are not only sell homes, we sit and counsel with people about different options that are available, sometimes helping them as far as what they can do as far as staying in their home versus selling it. And one of the things that we learned is what holds people back is all the stuff in the house. So one of the things that we did is we started the company Junell Moves Made Easy, and it was to be a one-stop shop, to be able to help our clients through the process, not only sell the house, but help with everything in the house. And I'll let John talk about that more.
So John, again, could you introduce yourself and what you do on our team?
Absolutely. My name is John Pettengill, and if you recognize the sound of my voice, it's because I've called you multiple times, welcoming you to the family, and reminding you that we have a seminar, a workshop, a something going on. So as part of the team, I've come on as the senior move manager. And essentially, if you think about what it is, I mean, it's built into the name. I'm a senior moves manager. I project manage what it takes for you to get from where you are to where you're going. And also playing into the concept in the words that came to mind, it's on my card here. So having a servant's heart and a deep caring for seniors in transition. So that's the core of what my job is to get to know each client, to understand what it is that they need in order to get them from point A to B with being overjoyed, not overwhelmed at the end of the process. So 4 categories that we're going to talk in great detail. Actually, Brett's entire montage lining up talks to the whole process that we're going to go through today. But essentially, it's the 4 concepts of sorting and figuring out what goes with you, what stays here, dealing with coordinating with movers and all of the logistics that are dealt with that, unpacking and resettling. So when you get to the new place, how do you deal with that piece of it? And then you moved from a place to a new place, if that's the case. What do you do with the stuff that didn't make the move? So as a senior moves manager, my job is to help you get through that transition with ease, or as much as can be expected.
Thank you, John. So let's start by talking about what is right sizing. So Annette, can you tell us what right sizing means?
Have any of you just felt overwhelmed by your belongings, like a huge weight on you because of that?
Yeah. My office?
Well, right sizing is all about simplifying your space. It could be downsizing, it could be moving to a smaller space, or it could just be repurposing what you already have and thinning things out so you're not overwhelmed by what you have.
So right sizing is not necessarily moving, I take it?
It is not necessarily moving, so it can literally be just repurposing your current space so it fits your needs now for how you live your life now versus how you used to live.
Thank you.
And quite frankly, it could be just how you want your life to be versus how it is right now.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about why people are right sizing, some examples of why someone would right size, either staying where they are or making a move.
Stage in life, there are so many hands that were raised when we talked about moving to a larger home. When you're younger, your family's growing, you move to a larger space. You're right sizing for that. When you're an empty nester, some people choose to move to a smaller space. In my parents' case, they chose to make my bedroom into a sewing room. So it's just repurposing what you already have to make it meet your needs now. So that stage in life. Another reason is financial situation. If you have more money, then you're more likely to be able to stay in your current home if it's a large home and hire other people out to help you with the yard work, help you with maintaining the house itself. If you're on a fixed income and money is an issue and you're not able to care for the house or the yard, then at that point people right size by moving to a smaller space where there's less maintenance. Physical ability. We often have people move to, and it's not necessarily a smaller space, but just move because of the stairs. They can't handle the stairs anymore, so right sizing for them is just getting a single level home. Or just being able to have, if you're, again, not able to take care of the yard, moving into a condominium. And then psychological realities. That has more to do with wanting to be near family, kind of preparing for the future and just saying, hey, I want more support. We have people that move into senior communities because, again, they want that more support network around them, the socialization, or again, like I said, moving with family.
Great, thank you. So what we're going to kind of do today is we're going to talk about the right sizing process, and we're going to use our process that we use in our business, but you're able to adapt those steps if you want to do it yourself or if you're hiring someone else. The principles are exactly the same. But given Annette and John have had a lot of experience, as have I, we're just going to go kind of through our process that we've perfected over the years and then have you adapt it. So in the handout, you'll see there's 10 bullet points or 10 steps that we have on the second page. So if you want to take additional notes there, We also, as our handout, have our step-by-step right-sizing process, so you're welcome at the end to get one of those. It has more detail about how we go through, but we just thought we'd keep this generic so you can take notes of what's important to you depending on where you're at. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No.
So let's just jump in with step number 1. So our very first step is making a decision. So what do we need to know about making a decision, Annette?
So this is a big deal, making the decision to make either right-size your space or downsize to a different place. You need to know what your why is. Why are you looking to do that? What is your goal? Because if it's decluttering, it could be that you just want to declutter your space so you avoid the tripping hazard. So just make your own space more safe for you. It's also preparing for a future move. So maybe you're thinking in a few years from now, you may be making a move. So thinning out the items that you have in your home. Or it could be that, again, like what Brett had talked about, not wanting to leave things for your children. So just going through things on your own now and decluttering. The other option is moving. One of the things that we do is we help people as far as determining what options there are that are out there. We often meet and sit down with you, and it doesn't have to be us. You can talk to a real estate agent if you're planning on making a move. Just sit down with them and talk to them about what resources are available, what type of housing options there are, what the cost is going to be. If you own a home, how much you could get for your home so you know how much money you have to take to the next place. Speak with your financial advisor, again, looking at how much money you have and what you have to work with, because then that helps to determine what your next home is going to look like. Are you going to be looking at a condominium? Are you going to be looking at moving into a senior community? Are you going to be looking at moving in with family or getting an in-law suite? So looking at what the cost is, what the options are, and researching it. And part of researching is actually going out and looking at the different places. We have people that move into manufactured homes. We have lists of 55 and older manufactured communities in the area. We have lists of all the senior communities that are available. Call them up, talk to them, tour their community, see if it's a good fit for you. Maybe not right now, maybe a year from now or 2 years from now. Just kind of planning and seeing what the options are. Speak with the agent, go and look at different condos or smaller homes and see if those are good fits for you. But the key thing is knowing what your why is. Why are you making the move? What is important to you in that next space so you can make sure that it meets your needs.
Great, thanks Annette. So let's have a look at step number 2, selecting what to simplify. So if we were staying put or aging in place, we never planned to move like me, what would we, plans change, huh? What should we know, John?
Certainly. So to start with, kind of the 10,000 foot view is these concepts that we're going to be going over today can be applied both to aging in place and also dynamically move to am I moving? So with that being said, one of the things that's important to take into account is if you're staying in place is how do you deal with the stuff? So the whole spectrum ranges from, on one end, the hoarder, to the other end, the person who has everything tidy and identified and categorized. And most people fall somewhere in the middle of that, in the bell-shaped curve of what they do. One of my tasks as a senior moves manager is to kind of tease out, as I get to know the client, what are the strategies that are going to be most helpful for them to accomplish the goal of either right-sizing or making the determination of the items that they have to downsize. And so with that, up there are listed some of their strategies that I employ that kind of overarch look at the principle, the process, because this is a process. It's not something that you can just wake up on Monday morning and expect to have it done by the end of the week. This is something you have to plan ahead for. So the principles that up there are basically just strategies that I engage to help reframe the thinking about the spaces that you have. Because as we know, we have attachment to our things, the stuff that we've accumulated in our life. But as you go from right-sizing to downsizing, you have to make certain judgment calls about what's going with you. And that's really what staying put and making those decisions is about. Most importantly, start yesterday. Because really, there is no, starting now is just the tip of the iceberg. Depending on whether you're a hoarder or a hyper-organized person, you're going to have to deal with looking at all the items that you possess and making a judgment call about whether they're going to come with you or not. Does the item spark some kind of joy in you? Is it something that you want to take with you? One of the most important points of that is trust your own internal judgment as you start this process, as you're kind of going through your items, of learning the process of, is this something that is truly going to bring me joy in the future? Do I need it with me? And we'll be talking more about that later. And the other concept is discard first and store later. So as you're going through this process, one of the things that I tell my clients right off the bat is, all right, we're starting this process. Every week I want you to fill your dumpster with stuff you're not going to keep. And that's part of the process of going through items and decluttering and organizing what's going to be going with you. That's it.
So what's this KISS?
So if we wanted to break those down, we can talk about them in more detail if you're interested. But KISS is, these 3 items that are up here are all based on the same concept of breaking things down in ways that can reframe your thinking about your space. So if it means keeping it simple and small, or keeping it simply small, you walk into your sewing room and you've got way too many items that you have to try and deal with. You just start breaking it into smaller pieces. So keeping it simple is one strategy. That's one mental idea that I grab onto to help people make that transition. Or you can categorize items as in the second bullet point. Go into one room or look at categories of items. Are you going to deal with all my books this week? So you'll deal with your books. Are you going to deal with the items that are in your closet? So you break those items into different components.
Okay, great. And chunking?
Yeah, chunking is essentially along the same lines of reframing how you think about your spaces. And chunking is, you guys can probably finish this sentence, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, right? So I take that same concept and reframe it so that we look at breaking those items down into the prerequisite parts that gets you over the hurdle of the anxiety, just the enormity of the process, and getting you in a comfortable place, because ultimately a lot of these decisions are tied to a lot of emotions that have history with you. So we want to honor that, and we want to acknowledge that and give you strategies to keep you moving forward, because ultimately if you're either right-sizing or downsizing, there's going to be a day where the decision is going to be made by you or by somebody else on what happens to your stuff. So how much do you want to engage in that process? So these are strategies that I use, and there's a great book, it's listed up here, the KonMari method. Show of hands, how many have heard of the KonMari method? Yeah, so I'm preaching to the choir here. Great book, lots of resources. YouTube is a fantastic resource. So I'm not reinventing the wheel, I'm giving you strategies to be thinking about how do you deal with your stuff, because it's not just the physical stuff, but it's also the connection to that stuff. Thanks.
So my takeaway is don't pull everything out of all the cupboards and all the rooms all at once. Just start one area at a time.
You could choose that method, but certainly depends on what your strategy is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the second part of that, if we're moving. So I take it everything we just talked about applies if we were to make a move at some point in the future. But what's more specific about when it comes to moving? What do we need to know?
So if we bridge that gap and we now know that we're going to be moving, you have to reframe the strategy a little bit, because you know at some point you're going to know I'm moving into the same size space or a much smaller space, and that's going to dictate a lot of the decision making as you move forward. So same idea in using the strategies to get you through sorting all of your things, being able to make decisions about where you know you're going, how much space do I have? So beginning with selecting items that you know you want to move, and we'll talk about this in more detail in a little bit. Focusing, here's a great, the idea that people get overwhelmed by is the enormity of all the collection of life stuff. How do you bridge that gap? And so one of the key strategies is to just focus on, if you know you're moving, what are the things that are going with you? I call it the great sifting. So if you think about gold panning or sifting through all of your items, what we want to do is sift through that stuff so that all of the gold nuggets, the things that bring you joy, the things that have true meaning to the value and the quality of your life, those are the things we want to represent and bring with us. And that leads us right into, okay, I have a house full of stuff. What are the big furniture items that are going to go with me? Because if you know you're moving, the next best strategy is, will all my stuff fit? Do I have room for the 3 bookshelves that I currently have all my books on? If not, what do I do? And that leads right into the next piece of furniture. So when you're dealing with a new space, blueprints are out there. If you're moving into a home, if you're moving into a retirement community of some kind, blueprints are available. So it's a matter of strategically looking at what you want to take and will it fit. And going through that, there's basically 3 strategies, and I kind of combine 2 of them. One of them is a little bit labor intensive in the sense that it's not true to scale as much as you might want it to be, but it gives you a really good grounding on the space that you have and the stuff that you have, and will it even remotely fit. The problem with something, this is a great kit that you can get online, but it's the downside of this is simply that it's not to exact scale, so you might be surprised that 3 of the dressers that you thought would fit just don't, so you can only take 1. But that's part of the process of figuring those things out. Being able to get into your space that you're going to move into and take some true measurements and get some realistic views is part of the next process.
So here we're basically taking the floor plan, drawing it out on the graph paper, and then getting the little objects and placing them based on what we have to see if they'll fit. Correct?
Exactly.
Yep.
The kit comes with a standard bed, a standard dining hutch. Yeah. So you can see
Small
those
bed,
items
bigger
that are
bed.
there. And they're to a relative scale, but you never know, down to the inch of, is it 1 foot or is it 2 feet? That's a huge difference when it comes to putting stuff in your place, especially when you're downsizing. One of the next best tools is we live in the 21st century, so we do have technology at our hand. And what I've developed and used successfully is a piece of software that allows me to take measurements of the stuff that you think will fit in your space, and I digitally represent it in a 3-dimensional phase where I can put stuff in your place and then get a 3-dimensional view of, will it really fit? And this software basically takes it, I can size things and scale things so it's exact down to essentially the inch. So it's a really powerful tool for me to know when I sit down with a client, okay, you think you can take these 10 items? Realistically, 7 of them will fit. And then what we do is we put that in phase and we start looking at how we can drag and drop the items, make sure that they fit to scale, and see what the place looks like in virtual reality. So we're not going to put goggles on you, but you're going to be able to see it from a 3-dimensional view.
So this is all the stuff that won't fit in my house.
It would likely fit if we didn't care about walking around.
Okay. So then to get a sense of that.
Yeah. And so the nice thing about this software is it gives you that 3-dimensional kind of next level of understanding about spatial awareness and what fits and what doesn't. And so here's a video of the software that I use, and you can see you really get that sense of spatial awareness, where things are going to fit, where they won't, how much room there is, which is really important when it comes down to trying to put items that you've lived with your whole life into a smaller space. How do they actually fit? Can I get around in this space? Even though I love that the China hutch, does it really make sense in my new space?
But then you have people like me who still want to try to cram it all in. So we go to our secret weapon.
We do, the secret weapon, blue tape. It's the best tool on the planet. So having gone through this, the reality really speaks to terms. So the next best trick is same measurements. I take the dresser and the bed and the dress and all the items and just lay it out in blue tape. This is the space the bed will take. This is the space the dresser will take. And here's the stuff, and here's your walkway, and here's your living space. So this is something that is very, very concrete, and it allows you to get real spatial awareness as to the living space you're going to live in. So it's a super powerful tool.
Because one of the challenges we have with clients sometimes is they think they can put more in and it'll fit. But when you move with the mover, is there a cost to move stuff? So if we move and it doesn't fit, what do we have to do? We either have to move it out again or sell it there or deal with it. So this gives you a really good idea, because we've had clients who think, yeah, it'll all fit, and then we map it out and you're kind of like walking sideways to get into your bed, or yeah, it's like, okay, that makes sense, it isn't going to work. So yeah, that's a really powerful tool.
Well,
the software.
The other issue is if you have a walker, you need more space. So, and especially if you're new to a walker and if you have a spouse, you need to make sure that everything fits through. So this blue tape works wonderfully. You can actually wheel your walker through without the furniture there and see if it'll actually fit.
This assumes you have access to the new space.
It does assume that you have access to the new space, yes.
So that's a great point. We don't always have access to the new space, but if we do, if we're going into one of our retirement communities, they'll allow us to go in and tape out to make sure everything fits. They provide us with the floor plans to be able to help do that, or anyone else you use, they'll make that available.
Right, exactly. That's just a layering concept with this, especially using the software. It allows me to virtually set things, and then if it's necessary, if I think as a move manager, I'm thinking, they really aren't seeing the reality of what they're asking. And so then I'll go in and I'll do the blue tape. All right, come on, let's see what it looks like. And that's where we really cement the reality of having to let maybe some other things go that they didn't want to.
And that's probably only for 5% of people who are having trouble visualizing it on the software. Usually once people see it there and walk through virtually like you saw, it's like, okay, I get it. So let's talk about continue with step number 2. We wanted to talk about green dots, red dots, painter's tape, and labels. So
yeah, certainly. So we're going to be on step 2 for a little bit, because there's a lot of little bits and pieces. We could do a whole workshop just on green dots and red dots, practically.
No, we're not, John. Looking at the time, we're not going to be here all
No,
the
we're
time.
not? Okay, all right. So speeding things along. At the end of the day, you're going to have to make decisions about your stuff, and how do you communicate that, and who are you communicating it to? So one of the key crucial pieces, and to me, it's reassuring, it's confidence building, it's letting go of some of the stress that's dealt with dealing with all your stuff. If you can put a green dot on something because you know it's going with you, you've made that decision once, you don't have to decide again. Make those really concrete decisions. If you know that hutch is not going with you, put a label, put a red sticker on it. Red, not going with me. Green, coming with me. And if you don't want to spend the little bit of money that you want for greens and red dots, blue tape. You can get rolls and rolls of it for really cheap. Put blue tape on the stuff you want. If it doesn't have a piece of blue tape, it's not coming with me. Because ultimately you want to communicate that to yourself and then to the people that are going to be helping you make that transition. And then the other piece is on the labels, because as we go through things, there are going to be items that family might want to hang on to, some heirlooms that you're not necessarily interested in hanging on to, but your kids or even grandkids might be interested in something. You want to be able to label those, so using some other way of identifying those is helpful. Is it something you want to sell? Is it something you want to donate? So how is it going to be disposed after you've made all of the decisions on stuff you want to take with you? So we want to have strategies in place for that.
Perfect. And just on the dots, don't rush out to the local Office Depot or whatever and just get regular dots. There are permanent sticking dots. Not a good look in your new house. Everything's got dots on it that won't come off. And then there's removable ones. So make sure if you're using dots, get removable. Same with the labels. You don't want it permanently on there that it says family or whatever it happens to say. Yeah, so make sure they're removable. Very important. They can try to take it
Right.
off, yeah.
That is a great point, Brett. So especially when it comes to putting stickers, labels, tape on any kind of wood, be really mindful of that, because that you can peel off veneers and things of that nature. So great point. So moving on, what we have to do is, you're moving into a new space. One of the great challenges is, will all the stuff that I have hanging up fit? And so the quick, easy strategy with that is, but when you have access to your new space, take a tape measure and measure out how many linear inches of hanging space do I have at the place I'm going to live, and then match that up with how many linear inches do I have currently hanging in my house. If you only have 200 inches of hanging space at your new place, but you've got 800 inches of hanging stuff, you need to make some different decisions about how the things that are going with you. A great way to do that is, if you have a spare closet where you have, say, a standard kind of 84-inch hanging closet, where you can start mocking that transition up. You can go into your massive closet and go through the stuff that you think you want and start putting it in the spare closet and lining things up of, here's the stuff I want. Oh, wait, I ran out of space. Rethink that process. So it's another way for you to move before you move in terms of just taking stock on what you have so that you have a staging area for making that transition, which leads right into maximizing your space. So the images that you see up there, the one on the left and the one on the right have the identical same amount of clothes, same items, but they're hung on different types of hangers. So it may be worth your time and energy to look at reorganizing how you hang your items. So the hangers that are in the closet on the right are ultra thin, extra sturdy wire hangers that are about 1/4 inch thick, and as you can see, much more organized, streamlines the process. So something else to keep in mind as you start making that transition. So we're moving on to still step 2, selecting what we want to simplify. One of the things that you'll run into as you start dealing with stuff is identifying and categorizing the stuff that goes to Kathy that lives in Seattle and the stuff that goes to Donna that lives in New York and the stuff that is not going with me. Those are categories of things that need to be separated at some point because they're not going with you or they're going with somebody else. If you have the space, think about opening up some spaces where you can sort things, and essentially out of sight, out of mind. So you want to put yourself in the position for success by saying, as I go through my stuff, I'm going to have a place to put all the stuff I know I don't want. Quick and easy, boom, done. I know where it goes. I don't have to deal with it more than just this once. And so having a spare bedroom, a series of boxes in your garage, whatever form it takes, but having a place to categorize how you're going to divvy up the things that are going and where they're going. Which also then leads on to, we've all heard the love it or leave it concept. I want to twist that a little bit and say, instead of love it or leave it, let's say love it and leave it. So my great-grandmother's collections of spoons that were handed down for 3 generations are now in my possession. I love them. I love the memory of them. I love the memory of me sitting on my great-grandmother's lap and her stirring her tea. But I just don't have the space and the wherewithal to take those with me. What I can do is take a picture of it and put that in my album of things that I want to remember. And there's lots of ways that you can tap into that technology once you have photographs of these sentimental items that just, they're not going to make the cut. They're not going to make the move with you. So taking photos of them, having them stream on your desktop, as a screen image that just rotates. There's also photographic frames that you can download all your images into so that they're constantly scrolling. So as you walk through your house, you're getting constant reminders of things that have brought you joy. They just didn't make the final cut and getting to move with you.
Perfect. Thank you, John. So let's look at step number 3, assistance with the move. So who's going to do the physical move? I guess we have 2 choices. What are they?
Not me. Oh, no, wait. Take that back. So the physical constraint. As we age, we are not as physically fit as we used to be or think we are. And so it's making those concrete decisions about who's doing the logistical work of getting me from point A to point B. And there's a couple of options. There are 2 clearly that are listed up there. You can do it yourself, but being mindful that you're going to expend more energy, more frustration, the logistics of hiring a rental van, getting people to physically do the moving, all the way down to, I got to get boxes. Where am I going to get boxes? I got to spend money on boxes. Oh my gosh, that's really expensive for boxes. They're just boxes. All the way down to having, tapping into friends and family that everybody's really wanting to raise their hand to help you move, right? That always happens.
Or don't show up on move day.
Obviously, there are logistical concerns, and cost is an issue. So you need to kind of weigh your options in terms of logistically what works best for your situation. A little bit of stuff, maybe friends and family work. But when you're dealing with a whole house or a lifetime of belongings, that's where a professional company really comes in handy. And I'm not gonna name drop companies here simply because we have lots of great companies here in our area that can service and do everything that's listed up here. But as you make these decisions, bullet points are great here. You definitely want to get, everybody that I've worked with does an estimate. They'll do a quote for free. They'll come out and they'll give an assessment, and they'll give you an estimate that gives a range of prices, because they don't know exactly how many boxes it's going to take. They don't know exactly how long it will take, but they give you a really good frame of reference so that you understand the range of costs that you're going to incur with materials, the trucks, the manpower to deal with that. Check references, however you want to do that, through the internet or through word of mouth. Obviously making sure that they're bonded and insured so that you're covered if things do go sideways. And on that point, when you're reading the fine print, not all moving companies are created equal in the terms of the way they're insured and what they do cover. So just be aware of paying attention to those factors as you're making those decisions, so that you get the best quality of service for your needs in making that transition.
Great, thank you, John. You going to add something in it?
Yes, on the slide here you have the NASM logo, National Association of Senior Move Managers. If you're moving to another area, if you're moving out of state, look on the NASM website. It's NASMM.org.
Can you say that again fast?
No.
3 times now.
Go to the website and you can look up move managers for the area that you're moving to. Because again, what a move manager does is they can meet the movers on where you're moving to, and if you're using a move manager on this end, they can communicate with that move manager where you're moving, and they can coordinate the move for you and put everything away for you and set you up so that it makes the move so much smoother. So again, if you're moving out of the area, or if you have other family members that are moving somewhere in the country, you can look up the NASM website and see who services that area.
And they'll even help you with floor plans, getting them from the community that's in Oregon, getting them to the move manager here, and working out what's going to go and what'll fit, and getting bids and doing that all for you. So yeah, so that is a great resource, NASMM.org. And just on the movers, I just wanted to add, as far as moving, you can definitely do it yourself. Just go in with your eyes open, because we've had people who we've helped and have decided to do it themselves, and all the more power to them. We're there to support them. And then at the end, they're just so worn out and stressed out and have injured something and going, why did you let me do that? Well, we gave you the resources and we told you it wasn't a good idea, but you insisted, so we're here to support you. But then they've kind of regretted it. So just know going in, all the things that John just mentioned that you need to take care of, and we probably don't have as much energy when we were 20 or 30. Yeah. So let's talk about step 4, pack and move, John.
Awesome, we made it to step 4. So we're looking at the kind of the nitty gritty, opening up the hood and looking under the hood in terms of some of the details that you might not normally think about when it comes to the pack day and move day. So as a senior move manager, my process is meeting with the client knowing that we're going to pack and move. There's going to be a span of time in that preparation for pack day. That's when I've hired a company to come in and do the physical packing of your stuff. The kitchen item, everything. So starting in the kitchen and doing all of the stuff, what is going, and their job is to pack that. So when we're at that day, if as a senior move manager, if I've done my job well, the movers are going to be lickety-split and quick because they know and see what they are packing, they get it dealt with, and they get it done in a really short order. Along those lines, as you're making this transition of figuring out, sorting, and clarifying what's going and what's not, be aware that packers pack. That's what they do. So if it's out, they put it in a box and they seal it up. So you need to kind of think in advance. And this is when I first started this, it was kind of like an epiphany of like, oh yeah, that's all they do is they put stuff in boxes. So be aware of that, because if you're not prepared for that, you're going to kind of be left with, where did that thing go that I needed on the first day that I woke up in my new place? So that's where we lead into the kind of the essentials in preparing for that pack and move experience. Typically, most houses, when we're working on a pack move situation, we'll do a pack day as a full day 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, a full day of packing and getting everything sorted and put in boxes and ready to move. Then day 2 is the move day, where they're physically coming out with the trucks and putting stuff in the truck to be transported, offloaded, and sorted. So it's typically a 2-day process in that sense. As you're thinking about that process, it's important that, as you see up there, the essentials. So think about it as you're going on vacation for a day, you got to pack a bag, what goes with you, because that's essentially what's happening. All of your belongings are being put away for a little while until we get them settled and taken back out. And so, as you can see up there, we're going to keep our medications, our valuables. If you want to take along sheets and pillows and clothes for that morning after, those are the important parts as we move into the pack and move piece. Last point is, as a senior moves manager, one of the greatest joys that I get is when I get to kind of fly, not solo with that respect, but if I have clients that trust in what my process looks like, and I get to kind of do the great reveal. So they trust me, they know where things are going, they trust that things are going to get put away. The great reveal is being able to open the door because they took 3 days and went on vacation to see the grandkids in Florida, and they came back and their place is set up, done. Those are some of the grand experiences that I get to experience as a senior moves manager. So now we're moving on to directing the movers. So as we move through that process, what we're looking at is making sure that as a senior moves manager, my job is to coordinate using the floor plan, and that I coordinate with the movers. I direct things to make sure that on the first day, that when we get things to the location that they're going to live, that we get all the basic stuff put in, all the big furnishings put where they're supposed to be. We get your bed set up so you have a place to lay your head at night. And then we start the process of the unpacking and settling. By the end of the first day of our unpacking phase, you're going to have a place to rest your head. You're going to have your basic condiments and things put in, so you can make your coffee in the morning or whatever it is that you need for your morning routine. We're going to make sure that those are set up and that your toiletries are set and you have your medications, because then the next day, the following day, is going to be the settlement day. And that's where I get some of the greatest joy of kind of resettling people into the new phase, the new lifestyle that they're engaging in, and getting to do the nuts and bolts and the details and hanging the pictures and putting the books on the shelves. But those are the processes that happen on the final day of the unpacking and settling. And then the beauty is I get to take all the boxes and packing material with me, and you don't have to deal with it.
So for the guys, if you're moving into one of our wonderful retirement communities that we have, this is a great day to test out the new bar that they have there in the community. And for you ladies, it's a great day to check out the salon and the other tours and activities they have going on, and just leave it all to your move manager.
The ladies may want the bar too.
The ladies may want the bar. Okay, I should. Good. Okay. Good point. So just on this, actually, I'm just going to step to the side a little bit and just ask. I know we are looking for some help for John. Oh. So in this resettling process, if you happen to know of any adult children, friends that might be interested in helping John, it's kind of a part-time job on the days where we have moves, where we're doing resettling. If you know someone who likes that, organising, packing things away in the kitchen, unpacking boxes, getting someone set up in their new home, come and talk to John or I. But yeah, we do need some extra help as we move forward, and we're helping more people. So yeah, if you know someone, let us know. I'm allowed to give plugs like that because I'm... Commercial break, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Craig. So step 6, quickly, John, in the interest of time, what do we need to know about disposition and liquidation?
Absolutely. You can see they're broken into essentially the top 2 are in one category and the bottom 3 are in another category. How are you going to deal with all the remaining items? You have estate sale options, and there's several entities in the area that will help you with that. Estate sale, the reason why there's an asterisk on there is because if you are going to do the estate sale route, don't give away your stuff before the estate sale happens. Because when an estate sale person comes and does an assessment of your items, they want to see the entirety of what the value is so that they can stage it. And if you end up giving things away or things that you're donating things, it stands a chance that they're going to come out and look at your stuff and say, there's just not enough here for me to do an estate sale. Which leaves you to the next option is, well, what do I do with this stuff? So the buyout or sellout option is essentially somebody coming in and looking at your stuff and handing you a check. And the beauty of that is it's convenient. But the downside of that is you're not going to get top dollar for the items that are remaining. So you kind of really need to weigh that whole process in what is going on with your items, whether you want to take on that responsibility yourself to try and resell them on Craigslist or engage in an estate sale. Just be mindful of those two categories. And then the other ones are just obvious: donate, recycle, disposal. Those are things that are there's people in this community that can help with that. Not all donations will come out and get the stuff for you. So you just be mindful of how you want to dispose of those items.
Then I just say to that, if you're using a move manager, whether it's us or someone else, they take care of all these things for you. You don't have to deal with it. You just hand it over to them. They'll talk to you about what you want to have done, and then they deal with it rather than you trying to work out what to do with it all. Step number 7, I'm going to jump back to you, Annette.
Yes.
So selling the residence. The home now has been emptied out. John or the move manager's taken care of, or you've taken care of it. The house is vacant. Or even if you're renting, if it's a lease situation and you're moving, same kind of thing applies. So what do we need to do?
So I'm going to back up a little bit. The ideal situation is that you are able to move to your new residence first, and then the house is sold. That's ideal. That is not the way it can be, that everybody's able to do it.
And cleared out for that matter.
And cleared
the estate
out.
Sale and, yeah.
So basically, I'm going to do the ideal, and then I'll talk about very quickly if it's not that way. But if it's the ideal situation, you've already made your move, and if for some reason you're in your new space and you're like, ooh, I wish I had brought such and such with me, you have time to go back and get it. And everything, the estate sale person, they clear the rest of the house out. So it is an empty house, it's cleaned, everything looks great. We handle as far as if it needs any repairs before going on the market, cleaning carpets, cleaning the house, if it needs maybe some paint. So we take care of all of that and then put it on the market. Now, if you are not able to do that, where you need to sell your home first before you end up moving into your new residence, then basically what we do, John talked about having a staging area for items. We kind of do the same thing. The garage is a great place. If you have space in your garage, it doesn't matter if the garage is packed. We're going to still clear things out, but if there are things that you're going to be taking to your new residence, we're going to try to stage it and put things aside in the garage and make the house, it's not going to feel like home anymore. We're going to make it so that it doesn't, really. It is minimal. We want less is better when selling a house, so we're going to help with that. And we're going to get into more detail on that. We have a seminar coming up actually in 2 months?
In April.
In April. As far as selling the house as is, so we can get into more details on that. But we help with that process. What is negative about it is that people are going to be showing your home, so it's going to be inconvenient for you, for people to come through your home and show your home. And it is ideal if you're not there when people view your home. So again, you're leaving your home each time somebody comes. Or the other option is if you're not physically able to leave your home every single time somebody comes, then it's basically letting the people in and then stepping outside or just kind of being scarce, because you want the people to feel comfortable in your home. The idea is to sell it, and if they're not comfortable, they're going to come in and leave, and we don't want them to leave. We want them to see your home and get excited about it and write an offer on it.
Great. And any good real estate agent can help you with this process. They should be able to help you through this. There's 2 really good real estate agents up here. Shameless plug.
Just saying.
Thank you. Just saying. So jumping to step 9 and 10. So step 9, John, as you take a swig of water there.
Yeah, celebration. So this is a process that can be bittersweet in the sense that when you're celebrating this transition, you're fundamentally making a lifestyle change, and that can have a lot of profound effects emotionally, psychologically. So when you do this celebration, do the happy dance, absolutely. When you clear your items out, have that joy and freedom of letting things go. Really absorb that, because you're making this transition as this part of your life changes, and you're able to grab onto that and celebrate it. So what I get to do is help that transition, so that when you get to that wake up in the first day in your new house, that can be as overjoying as possible. I don't know if that's a word, overjoying, but you can be full of joy knowing that you've done this process, and you can also reflect on maybe some of the sadness in that transition. So just be mindful of both of those factors.
Which brings us to step 10, Annette, adjustment.
Adjustment. So Brett and I have been doing this for quite a few years, and one of the things we like to do is we have done focus groups. We check in with all of our clients after they've made the move. We just want to see how things are going, and through our focus groups and through checking in with our clients, we've recognized it takes about 3 to 6 months just to adjust to your new space. The people that have planned for this and are excited about if they're making a move. Now that we're talking about making a move. As far as downsizing or right sizing in your own space, it's a little bit different. But if you're actually making the move and you've planned it, your adjustment can be a lot quicker. But it does take time, especially if you're married and one of you is more excited about it than the other one, to really recognize that in your spouse, that it can take time, and to give them space. Great things to do is to join in groups. If you've moved into a community, they have all kinds of social activities. Get to know people. Get out and see what's available. If you move into a 55 plus community, they've got clubhouses, they've got activities going on. Go see your neighbors. If you're moving within the same area that you've lived in for years, continue doing all the activities and spending time with all the friends that you did before. It will just help that transition so much easier.
Great, thank you, Annette. So, how are we doing on time? We've got a couple of minutes. So we have some myths and truths you would have noticed starting on page 3. We're going to let you read those at your leisure if you so choose to, but some additional information we think you'll find helpful. But in 30 seconds or less, can we just touch on 2 of these? There's like 20 in the handout, but
Yeah.
Annette, do you want to just hit the first one? My household items and collections are worth a lot of money. Who feels that way? All that stuff is worth a lot of money. And I have a confession, that wasn't really my office at the beginning. I don't want people going, boy, Brett's messy when you leave. But, so what's the truth to this myth?
Yeah, you may have traveled the world and collected items throughout the world, and they may have had value at one time. It doesn't necessarily mean they are valuable now. So really be aware, there are people that can come in and actually value your items and give you an idea. So if you have something that you think, hey, I think this is worth some value, we have people that can go in and just give you an estimate for that. Or they may have a market for it. So be cognizant, and what you think is valuable, oak furniture, not.
Nope.
Yeah, you guys are already getting the idea. China, that used to be basically what's happened is the younger generation likes things that are quick and easy. They want to throw them in the dishwasher. You can't do that with the China. So they want to throw it in the dishwasher or have a different pattern, and inexpensive things, that's what's more popular right now.
And the market is flooded as we're all aging and trying to get rid of stuff. The market's just flooded with China and all sorts of things. Yeah. So just on that, Annette, so the last point on this slide, estate liquidation, what's hot and what's not. So on the very last page of the handout, or that section I should say, we included some tips of things that are popular and things that aren't, that just might help you as well. As we said, oak typically isn't, so there's some things there that might help. John, do you want to just hit on the second myth and then we'll move on?
Yeah, sure.
You got 20 seconds.
I know that physically, our physical age and our mental age tend to be quite not in alignment. So we can still make decisions quickly and move as fast as we used to. Total myth. I think you get why that is. So just be aware that there's going to be limitations that you may not expect that will face you, some physically that might be obvious, but some emotionally, that you might run into things that are causing some turmoil in your life, and it could be just as simple as you think you can move quickly in making these decisions. It's just going to take a little more time. So just be mindful of those, being aware of those mental and emotional connections to this whole process.
Thank you, John. So just before we open it up to question and answers, I just want to cover a couple of things. Does anyone know they need to do some decluttering, whether you're staying where you are or maybe thinking of moving in 10 years' time? Anyone? Yeah, a couple of people. Okay, more than a couple. Is anyone kind of stuck on where do I start? It just seems so overwhelming. I got all this stuff. Anyone overwhelmed a little bit, maybe? A few people I see. So one of the hardest parts, as this slide says, just getting started sometimes is what is holding us back. I think Annette was talking to someone later and earlier, a couple of months ago or a year ago, and she kept saying, I just keep finding better things to go and do, going off bowling, going to this, that, all of these, and that's way more fun than dealing with the stuff in the house, so we can understand. So one of the things that we have been doing in the last 6 months is workshops. So one workshop that we've been doing, or John's been doing for the last few months with different groups of people, is a right-sizing and decluttering workshop. And basically it's a 4-week process, so you meet every week for an hour over 4 weeks, and we talk about, or John does, about helping you get started, what your goals are going to be between this week and next week when we get together again, what the challenges are. And people have found it super helpful, haven't they, in terms of making progress, just getting into a habit of putting something in the dumpster each day, or whatever the case may be. So the next one that we have is on March the 3rd. They're on Tuesdays from 1:30 to 2:30. Because it is 4 weeks, there is a cost to it. It's $40 for a single person, $60 per couple, and there is a limit of 10 people for each session. So that's the next session. John has handouts outside with other dates that we do. We do these regularly, but if that would help anyone, you're more than welcome to talk to John and sign up. There's more information on your handout. I think on page, yeah, you've got it there, Doug, on the 4th or 5th page of the handout. There's a page in there that kind of tells you a little bit more detail than what I just did because we're kind of running out of time, but it's got a map of where the location is. If you are interested in doing that, on the yellow evaluation form, there is a checkbox part way down. Just check the box if you would like to attend that. We still have space for the next one. There's still some spaces.
Yeah, we've got
Yep.
out of 10, we've got more than
8,
a handful.
7, 6, whatever.
Yep.
Okay, great. What else do we have? Next seminar, March 16th, The Truth About Staying Independent. Also on the evaluation, so if you'd like to attend the next seminar, it helps us greatly if you check the box towards the bottom that you would like to attend the seminar. I just have something I wanted to say. It takes a lot of work to put these together, and that's fine. We're good with that. But we have a challenge. How many spare spots are in the room today? How many spare seats? Not too many, is there, if any? And I see we have sponsors who are standing up. So, negative, yeah, none. Negative. So the challenge for us is we have this room in the afternoon, and we're more than happy to do another seminar in the afternoon, do it again, versus turning people away. But it's really hard for us to tell how many people are going to be here. And so we included a little note last month that some people were called us and were a little offended. If you got the note, I apologise. But we had like 50 people last month who didn't, who signed up, who registered, but didn't attend. And they didn't let us know. So it made it really hard when we've got people standing at the door on a wait list wanting to come in, and then we've got 50 name tags that no one's collected. So I made the point of putting in, I thought it was a nice note, just asking people to let us know. We know emergencies happen. We know you can't always call to let us know that something has come up the day of, and that's fine. We understand that. Life happens. But please, if you aren't thinking that you can come next month, don't tick the box, or at least when we call to confirm, let us know you can't. Or if within 24 hours you know something's come up in life and you can let us know, that'd be great, because then we can just let more people in, and then we know if we need to do an afternoon session. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah, so can you all help us out with that? Yeah. And we're happy to do an afternoon session, if we need to do it, because we've got 300 people signing up, that's all good. Good problem to have. Seniors Education Conference. I just want to take a quick moment. We were thinking about doing a conference. I know we have the Senior Expo here each year. Is anyone aware of the Senior Expo usually in September? Yeah, and that's a fantastic event. Fantastic event. But it's not really education. It's not sessions you can come to and learn. It's more of, vendors and lunch and music, and it's a fun event we've been, love it. But we thought we might try something different in the community and maybe put on a day of education, kind of like our seminars that we do now. And we just wanted to gauge whether there'd be an interest in doing so. So what it would kind of look like that we were kind of messing around with is that we would provide breakfast. The location would be here. We'd have a big, huge marquee tent outside that will hold 100 and 200 people, and we'd provide breakfast. We'd have 16 breakout sessions. So we'd split this room. There'd be one here. There's another training room at the back and another one upstairs. So we'd have 4 sessions running at one time, and we would do that 4 times during the day. So for a total of 16 different sessions that you could attend, you'd know the topics in advance, and you could go and attend whatever session you wanted, and we'd have great speakers. If we had great speakers in the past at these events, same quality, if not even better. And I promise not to be one of them, so how's that?
Well, then I'm not coming.
No. We'd provide lunch, so there'd be like a buffet kind of lunch that we'd do out in the big, huge marquee, big tent that we would have outside. We'd have some drawings and so forth. Actually, I can't use the word raffle, can I?
No, not raffles.
No. State changed some laws. We can't use the word raffle. So there'd be drawings. And then we'd charge just a nominal $10 for the day. Who'd be interested in doing something? Do you think that'd be at all popular? So just a couple of hands, okay. Yeah, okay, I can't count. It's too many hands. Put them there. Okay. So what do you think?
I think it's good.
So I actually got approval this morning. I was putting this slide together just this morning. I got approval from upstairs that we could do it here at this venue and they'd help us out. I got no idea how we're going to do this, but I do have a date. So save the date on May 8. We'll have a seminar that month and a whole day here of education. So save the date at the moment. John doesn't even know. Alexa doesn't. She knows. She's thumbing up. Oh, she knows now. Okay. Some of our sponsors know, but we'll work out how to make this happen, and I'm sure it'll be fantastic. So, yeah. So what I'd like to do now, skip over that one, skip over that. I want to get to questions and answers. So, do I have my mic runners? Where is Vic? Vic De Negras from Amada Senior Care. That's going to be one of my mic runners and who's my other mic runner? Debbie, where are you, Debbie? Debbie Wood from Flagstar Mortgage. Does reverse mortgages, regular mortgages. Vic and his team do in-home care. So who has a question of either Annette or John? So let's start down here with Dee Dee, if you would, Vic. And who has a question on this side? Debbie, if you could pop up the back.
Hi. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for another super duper seminar.
Thank you.
And I have a question for John. How much do your services cost?
That's a great question. I'm partly going to defer to my bosses in the sense that there's ways that we can split this up. It can be included in a home sale, or we can do it on a quote basis. So I'm not going to put specific numbers to it because it's highly variable. Is there something else you want to add to that?
Well, there is a number. So it's $65 an hour, but we do, like if you were selling your home, we wrap it up in the commission so you don't pay anything extra for it. So it depends on, and if you just want his services separately where he comes in and helps you, and then he charges $65 an hour and then gets you started, gives you some homework, and that way he's not holding your hand unless you want him to. But just getting you started and away you go. And we do
so to elaborate more, there's like 3 ways we do it. Hourly, where someone is more comfortable with that and just wants some help to get started and maybe just needs to get started, kind of like that workshop I talked about. Then there's like fixed price. If we know you're moving from your house into a 1-bedroom apartment at one of our communities, we can kind of give a fixed amount. We know that'll probably be about $800, $1,000. So we have some numbers that we'll use and we'll just stick to that. If you're moving from a 6,000 square foot house down into a 3,000 square foot house, or going bigger for some crazy reason, then we would come in and bid that out and give us a best estimate, and then it'd be hourly kind of above that. Because it depends on really how much stuff you have. If you've got a really big house and it's packed to the gills, full of stuff, then it's really hard for us to estimate if you're going into another big house. So they're basically the 3 different ways, and as Annette said, we can wrap that into real estate commission to help as well. Whoops. Question, did that answer your question, Dee Dee? Yep. And over, I answered her question too. Debbie, if you can come down here. Vic, do you have another hand on this side? No questions, wow, I guess, up, down the front, Vic. Oh, right, and then maybe stay there, Vic, and then down the front. Yes.
Yes, do your services also include helping right size in your current home? Plan, strategy, and how to go about doing various areas of your house?
Yes, so great question. Do you want me to answer that, or do you want to answer it,
Yeah, take
John?
it, because
Okay.
essentially, yes is the answer, and Brett can fill in the details.
So we do have like a package with a set number of hours where we'll just come in and help to get you started, or it can be done hourly. So John has information outside on that. If that'd be something of interest, just talk to John. Sorry?
And are you going to offer this workshop series another time other than just next month? Or?
Yeah, instead of March. So yes, John has flyers outside. We do it on an ongoing basis. It just obviously fitted into today's topic, so that's why we put it out there. But I think we have another one starting in April, another one in May. So it's like every
Essentially,
every other month, kind of.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
after a seminar at this building, there's a 2-week gap, and then I start another month worth of workshops. So we kind of have a little downtime in between. We have one that splits April and May, and then we have another one starting in June. More details out there I can talk to you about later.
And then part of that, I don't know if it interests people, when we've done it and people have gone through, because we've had a number of people gone through it, they've asked for more. So what we haven't started it, but we're going to start like a support group where we meet once a month with whoever wants to come along who's been through that process, just again to like go through challenges, help work out what are they going to achieve during the next month. So more if you're decluttering your home and you just need some guidance each time. I know the people have gone out to lunch together and celebrated together in terms of what they've been able to accomplish over that 4 weeks.
And it's worth just taking a second to just I think the extreme validity in the accountability that comes with having a group that you're meeting with, that you've got a task, and you don't want to come to your workshop group meeting with report that you don't want to give. So the accountability is huge. It's one of the biggest factors that helps keep people motivated towards achieving those goals that it's when they first start seem completely overwhelming, and by the time we get to the end of that 4 weeks, there's a plan. We've got stuff in place that's going to make me accountable to get to achieve my goals.
And it's not you being giving a task. You decide what your task is between now and next week. So the kitchen drawer could be your task that you've decided on is achievable. So, yeah. Which side are we over to now? Back here, and then we'll come over here.
Yes, this question is for John. I don't really relate to that word that Marie Kondo uses. Does it, when she says, decide if it gives you joy? Because I look at a lot of things and wonder, am I going to use it? And I think usefulness or practicality are better methods to think about what you want to keep. Because I started going through our office at home this last week, and I kept thinking, I have all these articles that I've been saving, and I'm never going to use them. And I ended up dumping most of them.
Good job, yes. Round of applause.
You guys have inspired me. But, I don't think of it as giving me joy. I mean, I have some artifacts from travels that would give me joy. But then, am I ever going to use them or display them? That's another issue. According to Sarah Felice, she'd probably say get rid of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I don't like the word joy so much. I think people should look at it. The way I look at it is, am I going to use it, or is it just going to take space?
Certainly, I will certainly acknowledge that. Joy is in the eyes of the beholder, and it depends on what your strategy is and where you're at in your life. So choosing functionality over joy is just a personal decision. So I acknowledge that, and thank you for bringing that up.
Yep. Thank you for sharing. Over here.
It seems like for some of these points, that timing can be a real issue or a problem. Have you had any experience using something like pods or something like that, where taking things out of the house and bringing them back in occurs over a longer period of time than, say, a couple of days?
Yeah, that's a great point. Every situation is going to be unique. I think that's worth pointing out. Depending on the budget and the strategies, that if you need that additional space just for sorting purposes, that is a strategy that you can employ. Obviously, you're going to incur the cost of having the additional space, But at the end of the day, does that fulfill the goal of getting you sorted and classified so that you have a really clear understanding of what's going and what's not? So I think that's a great point to make. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, pods work great. We've had many clients that have used pods. Pods are way better than going and getting a storage unit.
Yes.
So we do not support storage units. Try to stay away from those, because can anyone guess what happens when you get a storage unit? You put stuff in it?
It disappears forever.
Yeah, and you keep paying for it forever. So stay away from storage units. Over here. Yes. Oh, sorry, down here. Thank you, Vic.
Again, thank you very much. I want to know how a person deals with OCD in regard to paperwork. I'm very organized, I'm very detailed, and I don't know when to stop. And so I have my tax return from 1967. It's more the, and I have a tendency to believe both was joyful and beautiful, but maybe that's why I have so much. But mine is paperwork, and I am going to take a 4-week class.
So how would you briefly answer that, given this attendee is going to come to the class and learn some strategies?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
in brief, what do we do when we got paperwork back to the 60s?
One of the things that is in the wheelhouse of what I get to do, and part of what brings me joy in doing this, is sometimes I have to be the tough guy. Sometimes I have to just call it like it is and talk real truth to the reality of what our goal is. And sometimes that isn't, holding you by the hand. It's giving you a firm handshake and saying, we got to get this done, because here are the hard stops. So some stark reality. So I approach that from the standpoint of being kindful and caring about your needs, but also looking at the needs of your long-term goal and trying to match those up as that process happens. And what I've found is that when we start the process, if I need to be tough guy for a little while, that starts to sink in, and kind of the aha moment, the epiphany of, okay, I'm starting to understand how I need to think about these things, because it's really a shift in your perception about what you're holding on to and why you're holding on to it, which is a much deeper conversation, but that's how I would approach that.
Yeah, it's really lots of questions you ask, self-discovery, and people work out what they do, don't need. And,
But
yeah.
I also think of it as what your big why is. Why are you doing this? Is it because you want to have everything organized, or is your why for wanting to go through all of this to not have as much belongings?
The paperwork is, I believe, it has to do with memory, realizing my memory is not going to be as good as in 80 years, and I have it organized so I know what this means. Also, I had 2 major experiences, one with my career and one with a retirement plan, that if I hadn't had a certain piece of paper, that I was the only one that had it, I would have lost thousands of dollars. So that memory is there. However, yesterday I was dealing with an annuity, and the guy said, well, do you have this form? I go like, no. And he goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, so knowing the fact that you've got that history, so John can help with that, but having technology where you can still have that available to you if you need it, but not have it all in paper form where it's taking up so much space. Yeah.
So different options. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, great question. I like it.
Yeah.
Question over here.
I was basically going to say the same thing. I've been scanning in a lot of papers. I scanned in my mom's photo album, so I didn't have to keep the physical albums. Yes, I still have 1967 too, one page, so I can't go around and scan it in. But other things I've scanned in that are like tax support that I don't want to let go for at least a few years anyway. It's stack that's maybe 6-8 inches down to nothing in my computer.
Right. Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. So can you stand up so the lady over here can maybe come and rack your brain how you do all of this? Yeah. Would that be helpful, doing a workshop on that at some point in the future? Photos, how to display them on frames, TVs, how to digitize documents, what pieces you need, or who you can go to get help doing that. Would that be, show of hands, would that be helpful as a workshop idea? Yeah, okay.
All right, that's a plurality.
Yeah, okay, that was easy. Thank you. Someone remind me, Alexa, that we need to do that. Question, down here.
I'm just going to make a comment that 4 years ago, we moved from 3,000 square feet to 1,600. And I have to say, the takeaway from that is having a good attitude, knowing that you're not ending what you had before, you're starting a new career or a new path in your life, and do I miss everything I had? Absolutely, but I love my new life and my new environment, and I think attitude is the best thing to have.
Very good point.
Thank you for sharing. That's a huge point. Big difference. Yeah. Anyone left on this side? So we're going to jump to this side. Anyone else? Just over here, Vic, please. Yeah.
Hi. Quick question. My husband passed away several years ago, and I have a garage full of tools. What do I do with them? I don't even know how to use them.
Tools are very popular. That's a hot selling item. So that can either you can do a garage sale, a buyout, even an estate sale. We do have estate sale contacts that can come in and just take it and put it with another estate sale to be able to sell for you. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a fair amount, I talked to an estate sale person. The garage sale, you just don't get much money. No one's willing to pay anything at a garage sale, but if you talk to an estate sale person who can combine it with another sale, or I don't know whether Kirby would.
I was going to say there's also some used tool entities that's all they specialize in. There used to be over by Kawasaki by Grand Sierra Resorts, but there are places you can take used tools and they'll give you top dollar for the turnaround depending on their age. Yeah, we can talk about that afterwards.
Anyone else come up with a question? Yes, just here. Debbie? Oh, just one sec. Let's get a mic to you so everybody can hear. Thank you.
When you get around to moving, make sure you have anything tied down that you don't want moved. We ended up unpacking all the ashes from my fireplace.
Wow! I haven't heard that one before. Unpacking the ashes from the fireplace. I thought you were going to say a family member's ashes in an urn or something, but ashes from the fireplace. Wow. Wow. So again, having a system, as John talked about, having green dots, tell the movers, or your move manager says only take the stuff with the painter's tape or the green dots, nothing else. Yeah. So have a system. Otherwise, yeah, we've seen all sorts of crazy stuff get moved. Yeah. Right. But never ashes. So fireplace ashes. Oh. Jan.
I would like to share that I'm planning on downsizing. So
One sec, Jan. Shh.
I first decided that I had to declutter. So I looked through my home and I saw that I had about 20 pictures throughout my house of family, friends, grandkids. And I thought if I downsize, I'm not going to have room for all these pictures.
Right.
So I took them all out of the frames, put them in a nice album, put the album on my cocktail table, and sold my frames in my garage sale.
Cool. Good job.
Good job.
Thank you, sure.
Great strategy.
Well, if we have no more questions, we do? Yep. We'll keep going until we've got time for another couple.
Could you just elaborate on who these buyout people are? I've never heard of sell buyout.
Yeah, so when John talked about sell and buyout, so selling might be you selling things or getting family members or friends to help you sell things, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, wherever it happens to be, there's lots of options and we can help you with those if that's what you're after. And then the buyouter, there are companies that will come, assess what you have, and give you an offer of a price to take everything. And then you're just done with it.
So if you want to sell,
Look under buyout or come and talk to us one-on-one. So just a little confession, I guess. We're trying not to give out the names of the people we use to the whole audience like we did with our handyman and various people, because then everyone calls them and then we don't have anyone to help our clients. So
We're close to the vest.
we need you to do some research, get references, go places, or come talk to us one-on-one. But our poor handyman was just busy for months, and it's like, come on, you got all this business because of us, and we have clients that need help. Yeah,
really good.
So,
he's really good. Yeah, he is a really good handyman.
but in a nutshell, we are more than happy to help you and give you. We just don't want to do it in this big group. So if you do have questions and there's specifics, let us know, and we're happy to help with that.
And we can give out the handyman kind of one person at a time rather than 300 people calling the handyman at once. Yeah. Down here.
I think in some ways you've answered my question by answering that. But for instance, if we're not ready to move for multiple years yet, there may be one thing like tools or furniture we want to get rid of. and maybe we have a second home and we want to get rid of the stuff. Can we do this piecemeal before we have to make the move?
I think we would all say yes,
Yes.
and piecemeal is better. Start sooner, as I think John said, like yesterday, and just make progress.
With your services, or through your company?
Yeah, if you want our help or someone else's, yeah, we can certainly work with you part by part. And in fact, a big part of what Annette and I do on the downsizing, because we're downsizing coaches, is we go out and meet with people who have no idea what it is they want to do. They just think maybe a change would be in order at some point. And they just want us to consult with them, to tell them what the options are. What are the different communities they consider? What are the different neighbourhoods they could move to? Should they just stay where they are? And like 50% of the time, people we meet, we say, you don't need to move, stay where you are. You're in great shape, things are going well. Maybe you need to bring in, a MATA, some in-home care, or maybe we just need some grab bars, or we need to make a change, or get someone to come and help with some maintenance. And you don't need to move anywhere. The least expensive place to be is where you are right now. So the longer you can stay there, in my opinion, that's the best thing. It's home, it's where the memories are. But as things change and maybe a move is needed, that's what we do. We just go out and meet and kind of give options, and call us in 10 years' time. We'll come back and maybe then we should think about a move or selling a house. So the answer is yes. Did that answer that question, sir? Yep. Any other questions? So we're right on 11:30. I just wanted to say thank you for all of you coming. And thank you to Annette and John and all of our sponsors.